There's an absolute collector's paradox with these, and I'm going to get into it. Hello YouTube, N60 Fortress here, I'm back. Thanks for tuning in again as always, it's very much appreciated. As you've been watching, I've been adding PS3 Essentials games to my collection, and I've gone down that rabbit hole and looking to add a few more as I go. I'm probably just somewhere between a quarter and a third, I guess, of the way to a full set. There's about 200 or so, I forget the exact number in the Essentials range, across the PAL regions, I guess, and I'm somewhere between 50 and 60, probably nearer 60, I think. But there's an absolute collector's paradox with these, and I'm going to get into it. Try and keep this brief today. Just a quick video to tell you about the sort of trials and tribulations that are going to come with this collecting journey. Right, so Resistance 3. This has been sat in my local CEX for months. When it first came in, I picked it up, went to the till, they go to get the disc. It's a standard PS3 game disc. So I say I don't want that then, you haven't got the Essentials disc. The thing with CEX, right, they don't always take stuff in with the right disc. I get that, you're not trained to know what disc is supposed to come with what. It's understandable. The bigger issue with CEX is they'll certainly send things out with the wrong disc. They don't check that, have they got an Essentials disc in, or if they see an Essentials disc, they don't differentiate that between a normal disc, and they'll just shove whichever one they come across in first with it. So that's a problem, because that starts muddying the waters of the supply of games in the sort of circular flow of game exchange, I guess. But this is where it gets even more sort of difficult, right? So I looked online, I was in the CX, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to have a look online. And it's a hard game to find in the Essentials range anyway, really, relatively. I think there was one on eBay and maybe one in eBay sold. Both of them had the standard disc. Now, it seems to me that it'd be a bit too much of a coincidence for, 3 copies to all have the standard disc. So I've come to the conclusion, and I am just sort of, I'm only going off like 3 examples here, so it's probably not enough. But I'm at that level of conviction now where I think, okay, this game probably came with a standard disc. Now, the disc is like new. It's like new. It's hardly used. The case is really fresh. It all feels really good. So I find it hard to believe that this has sort of been swapped by somebody else, like before they've handed it in. And CEX didn't, the Bromsgrove branch where I picked this up from, they didn't have any other copies in stock, so it's not them putting the wrong disc out, if you know what I mean. Unless, of course, they had one other and the Essentials disc went out with that and it's already sold. But I don't know, I kind of doubt it for some reason. Why are there other copies online with the wrong disc as well? I mean, okay, granted that could have happened to those 2 as well, but it just seems unlikely. Now, I joined a PS3 collectors group, and I started speaking to some guy who's going through a full set, and he's nearly got a full set. And he has like the Dutch version of this game, I think, because he lives in Holland. And it has an Essentials disc, but it's got Dutch on the back, so it's not English, whereas this is English. So it's like, you can't compare like with like. And that just convolutes things further, right? So like, potentially across different countries, it might have a different disc. Now, you could still say to me, well, it should have an Essentials disc. You're just wrong, okay? This is the 3 you've come across have got the wrong disc. But I don't know, I'm going to keep digging. And I think that there are some games where they didn't always use an Essentials disc. I'm certain of it, at least in certain regions. Now, it's no good to me buying a Dutch copy with an Essentials disc. I don't want that. So, you know, you just kind of have to suck it up. But like, my view was that every Essentials game should and does have an Essentials disc. But what I seem to have found out just by trial and error is that it's not always the case. I put my hands up and accept I'm wrong if I'm wrong, but that's just what I'm finding. And what I looked online on a quick Google search, the AI engine says that that's right. Not all games came with an Essentials disc. But it's just the water's muddied, isn't it? If some countries did have the Essentials disc, it just makes it even worse. So I picked this up with a voucher, £5, happy days, another one ticked off, right? And this one's at the back of my mind that I'll look out for one with an Essentials disc in English just in case, but I don't think I'll come across one. So hold that thought. They had another game in the Essentials range, Little Big Planet Karting. Same story for this. This was a bit more common in the Essentials range on eBay, both in sold and in current games listed. Every copy I could see in eBay sold and on eBay for sale. Essentials case, manual, standard disc. Again, this is like new. There's literally not a mark on the disc. It looks like it's never been played. Probably traded in from the same collector. The case is absolutely immaculate. Like, it could have come out the seal today. So, again, like, who's swapping the disc in this and then trading it in? It's even got like the extra paperwork and stuff. I know that's okay. A lot of games could have that, but it just seems mad to me. Like, so I'm under the impression now that this game as well just came with a standard disc. And you're probably watching at this point, if you're still watching, thinking, who gives a crap? Like, well, I give a crap because I'm collecting this and I want it to be how as it was sold. So like, I'm a fussy guy, right? You know me by now. Like, I want the games to come as they sold. I want the games, my N64 games, to have the correct paperwork. And just going on to the N64, I thought that was a minefield. So all my N64 games now, to the best of my knowledge, have all the correct paperwork that they came with on release. So all got a cartridge baggie, obviously. That's just aside from the issue. They've all got a cart baggie like they would have come with. But they've all got the correct paperwork. So the right poster if they had a poster, the right reg card, the right manual, obviously, which is just a manual. But they also had precaution leaflets, you know, the little white Nintendo consumer information booklets. And those had codes on them, 1 to 5. And I've made sure they got the right coded booklet in them as well, to the best of my knowledge, obviously going off lots and lots of sales history and all the rest of it. And what we found with those were that there were companies like Acclaim that late in the N64's life, they obviously had a backlog of paperwork from the early days, and they just shoved old paperwork in relatively newer games, presumably just to get the paperwork gone. Now, if things like that happened in the production process, what's to say in this case, they've tried to do a facelift box, but they're stuck with lots of excess supply of standard discs, so they're just shoving any old disc in just to move it, if you know what I mean. That would help explain away this issue that I'm having, that there's a standard disc in an Essentials case. And I asked the guy in the Netherlands, but his copy of this title's sealed, so he couldn't check if it had an Essentials disc. But again, I'm going to do some more research and see what I can find. Unfortunately, there's not a lot out there. Obviously, you can only go off what's on eBay, sold, or for sale, and on Vinted and so on. And everywhere I found this game, in the UK at least, always got this disc. That's too many for it to all be, oh, they've accidentally been swapped by CEX. It's just far too many. So, okay, where are we at now then? We kind of accept that not all copies had the Essentials disc, or at least in certain countries. But what have I done here? Like, I've embarked on this sort of journey where it's an absolute minefield, if you're fussy at least. So yeah, if I wasn't so damn fussy, I could just buy the games and not care about the discs. They play the same game, right? You don't really look in the case all too often. What am I getting worked up about here? Well, like I said, I want it to be how it should be, how it came when it was sold, right? Regardless of it just looking nice for the shelf, you want it to be as it should be, right? This whole journey is very convoluted. The information available out there is not overwhelming, and therefore you've just got to be really careful out there and just sort of like find out these things for yourself. There's no manual out there to help you get you through this process, and I'm enjoying it, but it's just becoming, I've gone down this rabbit hole, and there's so many ways to go. It's not obvious and clear and simple which way you'd go. If it was just nice and simple, every game should have an Essentials disc. it would make it far easier, trust me. But the point I'm getting at, it's very clear to me, at least at the moment, that every game didn't have an Essentials disc, in the UK at least, and therefore it's just making it a bit more problematic for me and difficult to get my head around when you're as fussy as I am. Right, I'm sorry for ranting so much. I've just had a busy day and I've had a lot of curveballs thrown at me with these PS3 Essentials games, and that's coming on an upcoming video, probably this time next week. And yeah, it's just been a really wild journey, this, and it's sort of got my head spinning in all sorts of different directions at the moment. Just to end the video on a positive note, I don't know why, but I got all the Lego games on the PS3 Essentials range. They're relatively easy to come by. I think the first Indiana Jones, I went through a quiet spell. I couldn't find it anywhere, and then all of a sudden it's everywhere as soon as you found it. But one you don't see too often in the Essentials range is the Lord of the Rings, for some reason. I don't know why, whether it got a lower print run in the Essentials range or not. I'll probably start coming across it in CEX now and be like, oh man, what have I done? But honestly, I've not seen it in CEX anywhere whenever I've been. It's actually quite hard to find online, on eBay and so on. I eventually saw it on eBay, sealed. It's got the PS3 strip seal here. I'm not a sealed collector really when it comes for PS3. I want to really be able to play them ideally, but you know, I can't find an open copy, and it was on for like 25. I think I just chucked an offer. I think I went 20 all in. A bit more than what I would like to pay, but from everything I've seen, this one's not that easy to come across. Like, if you want to buy this today, good luck. You're not going to find it on eBay, so it's obviously not that common. But it's sealed as well, so obviously it's going to cost a bit more than a standard copy, unfortunately. That's the price you pay when you get sealed games. But yeah, happy to have closure on the Lego series in the PS3 Essentials range now. Pleased to get that one out the way. Unfortunately, I'm quickly learning that there's a lot rarer titles in the Essentials range. Don't even mention the dreaded FIFA 17. It's interesting that FIFA 17, it's a South African exclusive, so that only came out in South Africa, duh, obviously. But to my mind, is that something that I want? I mean, yeah, okay, I want it because it's rare, right? So why wouldn't you want that piece in your collection? But if we just break it down, do you want that game in your collection when it didn't come out in the UK? Not so much. And I'll give you another example. So like, people talk about the full Essentials set, right? And there's games like Mafia 2 in there. Didn't get a UK release. So I'm not really bothered about buying a foreign copy of Mafia 2 to say that I've got the full Essentials set when it didn't come out in the UK. I'd rather just have the UK set and just not have that. If it's a game I want to play, then I'd rather have the English copyright. I don't want to overpay on, well, shipping costs from a foreign country for a game that didn't even come out here, and then you pull it off the shelf and it's foreign anyway. Like, it just, I've got to decide what I'm doing on this journey, and it's probably that I'm going to not bother getting those, with the exception of FIFA 17. If I have the opportunity to get that, I wouldn't necessarily turn it down, because it does seem really rare. There's a lot of people going for it, but also because, well, South Africa, then it's going to be in English, isn't it? So at least it's English. Whereas I don't want a foreign copy of Mafia 2, for example. I don't know. That's just my view at the moment. And that way, if I don't get Mafia 2, then I don't have to worry about getting FIFA 17 technically, because I'm not bothered about anything that didn't release in the UK, right? I am going to put the feelers out to people in South Africa to try and see if they can uncover a FIFA 17, just because its rarity has piqued my curiosity to see if I can sort of find one. But yeah, we'll see about that. I know there's a lot of people looking for it who are going for the complete full set, regardless of region of release, or country of release, I should say. So that will make the sort of challenge more difficult when you've got a low amount of an item that's very scarce and a high volume of people looking for it. It's going to be difficult, right? So yeah, that about does it for this video. To conclude then, got some nice pickups. What I've generally uncovered is that not all Essentials games, in the UK at least, came with the Essentials disc that I can see, and that just makes this journey a little bit more problematic when you're as fussy as I am. It just means that when you go into CEX, for example, and they don't provide you with an Essentials disc, then you're going to have to do a bit of homework to see, did it come with an Essentials disc or not? And that process isn't always easy when there's not that much information available online. There's not that many sold listings online for certain games in the Essentials range that you come across. And just to finally say, the Little Big Planet kart racing that I believe came with a standard disc in the UK, the guy in Holland couldn't tell me because his copy was sealed, but I did manage to find a copy on Australian eBay, and guess what? That did have an Essentials disc. So like I said, it does make it more problematic. But do I want an Australian copy in my collection? Is there any difference between the Australian box and the standard European or UK box? I don't know. This is stuff I don't know about. Obviously with N64, certain boxes were Australian coded and had Australian rating stickers on them, and they were different to the N64 boxes. I don't know about PS3. I'm stepping into uncharted territory here. I have no idea. I'm out of my depth. And as a collector, it's kind of worrying, because I take pride in having knowledge about what I'm collecting, and I really don't know nothing about this. I'm quickly learning, and it's quite frightening really, but I'm enjoying the journey all the same, and hopefully I can get more educated and feed that back to you in future videos. I hope you've enjoyed this one nonetheless, guys. Just a quicker one today. If you enjoyed this video, please whack a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out, helps me grow. More eyes on the channel, more people coming along for the journey and seeing if we can beat every N64 game. Don't even know where I am anymore. More people coming along to see if we can beat every single N64 game in the UK PAL library, all 239 of them. Have you got any comments? Have you got any thoughts on the PS3 Essentials? Have you got some knowledge on this that you want to share with me? Because if you know stuff about it, please share it with me. I'm still learning on this journey, and I could do with some more input really. If there's any of you PS3 experts out there, please let me know. Let me know what collecting oddities you've come across in your collecting journey and how you've navigated those, if there's any problems that you've uncovered along the way. Of course, it goes without saying, if you're new to the channel or you're a returning viewer and you're not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. It really helps me out. I'm trying to build this place up and get you all coming along on this journey with me. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, receipt's gone flying. Every cut. Right.